Welcome back for another helping of oysters, clams, and cockles presented by Bolin Media. Please respect and enjoy the podcast. I am Brother Ross, here with Brother Barrett. Brother Barrett, how are you today?
Oh, you know what? I've avoided today getting strapped in and murdered, executed by Titan's prick. So that, honestly,
that's good. That's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. That's a big win. Any day that you don't have a crowd beneath you chanting Titan's prick, is a better one than my guy, Hober Marshmallow was having.
Yeah, Mr. Marshmallow, narrowly avoided the Titan's prick.
Now he's a coy little confidence man, so he knew what he was doing the whole time. He never intended to get executed by
the prick of the Titan?
By Titan's prick. Yeah. So
it was interesting how the guy, the king or whatever, the leader of that area who was doing the execution, ordering it, he really liked the name.
He loved it.
Titan's prick! He just liked to yell it over and over as many times as he could mix that in.
Yeah, I got the sense that Titan's prick has been the execution method on that planet for like a millennia, but you kind of got the sense that like he had come up with it, or at least was just real attached to it.
Right. Yeah. No, he loved it, and we'll get more into that. Here today, we're going to talk about Foundation Season 2, Episodes 2 and 3. So before we get to Titan's prick, let's dive into episode 2 of season 2, shall we?
Sure.
So we've got what going on? Brother Day, very upset with Demerzel, his robot assistant lover friend, like the Lil Jon song. Didn't he do a song called
Lovers to Friends? It went something like that. Yeah.
She has suggested Demerzel.
It's a classic triumvirate of Ludacris, Lil Jon, and Usher. It was actually I believe it was the follow-up. It was basically the sequel to Yeah.
Yeah. But Demerzel suggested that they bring in some infamous General Bel Rios. Okay, we meet a few different new characters, over the course of this 2-episode stretch. Bel Rios was brought up in episode 1, but only briefly, and Brother Day is basically like, "No, not that guy. And we kind of get into the why in episodes 2 and 3. But yeah, him and Demerzel start off episode 2 at odds because he's not into this idea still.
They need him, they need Bel to go. That's who Demerzel is suggesting is the right man for the job, to go out to the outer reach and suss it all out.
Figure out what's happening there. Yeah. Exactly. So we also find out the other 2 Cleons did not have anything to do with the assassination attempt by the Blind Angels on Brother Day. Remember, he had their memories assessed,
searched,
or whatever. And Demerzel does point out that at least in the memories that they have no memories of being involved, which is an interesting specificity about the situation. We meet Queen Sereth for the first time, played by Ella Ray Smith. What was your read on Queen Sereth when she rolls up here and is presented in the Triple Throne Room?
Oh, she a baddie.
Yeah?
Yeah, that was...
Thank you, Ice Spice.
That was my read. No, because she seems to be, at least she thinks she's got the better hand, right? Because she is just throwing around sass like the world had never seen it before. You know what I mean?
Very confident.
Just so confident. Just ultra confident. Just pushing buttons where she can. Just kind of flaunting various rules. And really just kind of like taking it to Brother Day there.
Yeah, she's like poking fun at their entire setup, but with statements that could also just be construed as serious and questions that could also just be construed as curious. So it's like you can't really get a feel for what she's got going on. But certainly from the moment you meet her and from the first several sentences she says, her first several lines, you get the impression that like she's maybe up to something. Like because like why we don't know much more about how this came to pass, this potential marriage, other than what Brother Day has told us in these conversations with Demerzel.
And what's her thing again? What does she own? Or what does she?
She's from Dominion.
Dominion, and she is the one thing that 30 episodes through season 2 now is I guess probably obvious from the jump, but I feel like they're doing this more through in season 2. It's just the idea that obviously Cleon, Brother Day, goes by Empire, which is kind of an interesting little twist because typically you hear like that's the Emperor,
right?
But then they'll also refer to the Empire as the Empire,
right? And
so it's kind of like this thing, like no, he is like almost how like Catholics, the body, it is the body of Christ, right? Like that is literally the body of Christ, right? And that it's kind of one of those things where like he is the embodiment, he is the Empire, basically, and that's why I think that's why they call him Empire, not Emperor, because it's him.
Well, and because there's 3 of them, but yeah, it seems to be like a statement like, without me, there is no empire, right?
Right. Yes. And so that's almost the feeling that I'm getting with this Dominion thing, even though I have no idea what they're talking about. They seem to be calling her Dominion, but also maybe that's what she rules is the Dominion.
She definitely rules it.
And I'm not, and it's like that might just be like a theme through this series or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she talks about, and part of her story is that she was kind of forced into the role, to this role of responsibility, really like based on, she was really the Prince Harry, and then all of a sudden she had to be the Prince William.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? Yeah.
She was just kicking it, learning the arts.
Yeah.
Gallivanting around, probably.
Kind of another way to put it is she was the Tobias, and then she became the Michael. Or no, I'm sorry. Excuse me. I'm sorry. She was the
Job.
She was the Buster.
Oh yeah,
and then she became the Michael.
Right. Buster was off learning map making and
cartography and drum circling and basket weaving and all that sort of stuff.
So it'd be like if in Arrested Development, every other family member was murdered except for Buster Bluth.
Except for Buster.
And then Buster had to head the Bluth Empire, yeah.
Yeah, except for Queen Sarah. It doesn't seem like a turd out there. She seems to be flirtatious and up to something, like you said.
Yeah. Sexy and strategizing somehow.
Yeah. There's a lot of strategery going on. You would have to think.
But like you said, apparently her entire family was killed in some attack that she keeps like alluding to. We don't really have the details around like what exactly occurred there or who was responsible for it. And what matters at this point is that like she was forced into it. Like she didn't have a choice. This was not her path in life until all of a sudden she had no other option.
Yeah, but you also kind of get the sense that she's like she's almost not taking it seriously, but clearly she's there, and so she is. But you're almost like, why are you here? Why are you even humoring this proposition, basically? Because you kind of seem to think it's stupid and a joke.
Right. You almost get the feeling that she doesn't take it seriously, that she's not really intending on marrying this guy. Right, and there are a lot of questions, especially in that first scene where you meet her in the Triple Throne Room, as I'm calling it, where you're just kind of like, wait, what? And then there's a lot there with Queen Sarah that we'll be getting into over the course of the season. Harry Seldon screams at Gale for trapping him in the Prime Radiant where he was alone and conscious.
It's time, you and I have a reckoning!
They have their reckoning. It's quite a reckoning. Lasts just a few minutes, and it's really just him yelling at her. Yeah. That's the extent of the reckoning.
Okay.
But he was in there for 138 years solo dolo, which is why I gotta say, he's doing a great job with they've made him look batshit crazy.
Right, okay. This does not make sense, though.
Why is that?
Okay, because Gale says that she put him in the Prime Radiant last night. Don't forget, Salvor had the Prime Radiant, not Gale. So she literally put him in there one night ago.
So how has it been 138 years?
So he wasn't in the Prime Radiant for 138 years.
Yeah, see, this was the confusion for me,
So if he's complaining about being bottled up, then it's for 138 years, then it's when he was in the Knife, traveling with her. But he didn't complain about traveling for 100 and some odd years the first time that he pops onto the ship, after when Gale first meets digital Harry and has clearly been traveling for quite some time, for 30 some odd years, I guess. And he was in the Knife all just fine and dandy that time.
Yeah, that was, I guess, his
So he was not in the Prime Radiant for 138 years, and that doesn't make any sense.
I guess the confusion there was around like the fact that she got stuck in that pod and shot out into space and just drifted for however long, right?
Yeah, the first time was 30 some odd years.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I don't understand how.
And then the next time was 138, but she didn't put him into the Prime Radiant because she didn't have the Prime Radiant. Salvor did.
So he's just angry, looking to take it out on somebody.
I don't know if that's just like a kind of a missed piece of the writing or what, but like he would have been in the Prime Radiant talking to all those ghosts or whatever in there, or Clea or Galia or whatever her name was, and his dead wife, like Kale, thank you, for like a night.
Yeah.
Like not even 24 hours, guy.
Well, that was enough to break him, Barrett. That's what matters.
Yeah. So that was a little weird.
Definitely. I mean, if somebody listening has clarity around that whole situation,
I'm happy to be corrected. But I feel like I was picking up on something that didn't quite track.
Well, even when we brought it up last week, I think both of us were kind of like, wait, but
right.
What? So there's something
they never make it clear. They never even say this. We have to infer it for ourselves that he is being transferred on the knife, basically.
Right.
Or in the knife.
Yeah.
So
who the hell knows? But Harry does explain that the first foundation, the purpose is that it was meant to create a civilization that can withstand the end of the Empire without knowledge of Selden's plan to some extent. Because otherwise, like we talked to someone on Patreon about like why wouldn't he share with more people what he was doing or the plan or whatever. His concern was that they'd tamper with the math and psychohistory wouldn't properly calculate the future.
Yeah, it's the way he kind of describes it is like foundation number 2 is actually the foundation, right? Because like foundation number 1 is going to kind of turn into the Empire. Is part of the psychohistory math, I think.
Right.
Like they're going to go, they are the ones that need to take down the Empire, essentially. But then they become Empire.
Empire-esque, yeah.
Then they become
which we get into some in these episodes.
And like foundation number 2 is actually the one that like is going to steer the ship properly.
Yeah, foundation number 2 is supposed to be a group of psychohistorians that they do have access to the grand plan.
Right. They are answering the question of who watches the Watchmen. With foundation number 2.
Yes. And they can...
Foundation number 2... people that are watching The Watchmen.
That's a good question. But foundation number 2, which does not exist as a result of everything that has gone wrong, was also supposed to have the ability to, like, course correct...
Yeah.
...if things went haywire, or even, to fight that first foundation if they became too Empire-esque or whatever. So that whole... Everything going on the ship right there with those three, with Gale, Salvor, and Harry, is fairly confusing. It's like a lot to try to swallow quickly as they throw it at you. And one of the things for me is like, okay, so the second foundation was meant to be created by Raish, but he stuck Gale in the pod instead of himself.
Correct.
And really, he's at fault for everything that has occurred so far. Because he's the one, Harry keeps referring to Gale as like his tormentor and the disruptor. Yeah. But like it was Raish. She didn't pick this. Like he stuffed her in there and shot her out into outer space.
But he's pissed because Gale's spidey senses are really to blame.
Because she got out of the pool.
Because she got out of the pool, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously Raish, made that decision to send her instead of himself.
Yeah.
Which also was unfortunate for Harry's grand plan.
They've also made it clear repeatedly that Raish knew everything.
Yeah.
Like, Harry keeps saying that. And I don't know if that's going to come into play at some point. I honestly don't. I'm not just saying that, having seen all of season 2. But it feels important. So, anyway, yeah, that's why the math, last week we cracked open the old Prime Radiant and saw like the two different, like here's the way things were supposed to go. And here's how badly things have gotten on this red line here with all these giant bubbles that are crises.
Yeah.
This is why, because of all the things we just talked about. So Harry says Gale destroyed his plan. Again, the way I see it is it was really kind of Raish in more ways than Gale. But for one reason or another that I can't quite wrap my head around, Gale decides like, all right, I'm going to try to see into the future and see if I can pinpoint when things go awry or like when the foundation gets destroyed or something.
Yeah.
She's trying to find something here.
They're trying to figure out, the net, right? Like the net result is like, where do they go to? She goes to the future, basically, can see the future. And as a result of that, they can figure out where they're now supposed to go put foundation number 2.
Okay. So they're trying to find a location for foundation number 2. Yes,
right?
that is correct.
And so she gets it on the tip of her tongue and she's like, it's Ligma.
You gonna do Ligma jokes? But she does end up seeing.
Just testing you. It's Ignis.
Ignis. Thank you.
That's
okay.
Ignis.
Okay.
That's Ignis.
She sees 150 years into the future, though, and this like mysterious sci-fi Terminator-looking dude, named the Mule.
The Mule. It's the Mule.
Attacks her. She gets hit with the Mule.
They had to hit her with the Mule.
But then he like recognizes her. Mm-hmm. And the fact that she is from the past and is able to interact with her. So it's not even like she's just having a vision. He is somehow able to actually physically interact with her in the midst of a vision.
Watching episode 2, which by the way, I do have to say it was probably my least favorite episode of the series so far.
I saw you say this on Twitter, or X, excuse me.
It was very, and I don't know if this was like part of what kind of like rubbed for me, but like I felt a lot of different influences that felt like they were coming from the outside in on this episode. Our little funny new worlds felt like very Star Wars-y to me.
Oh man, yeah.
And then this all felt super duper Terminator-y.
Yeah.
With the fat flash forwards, past,
the
present,
Mule's War going on there, yeah.
Even like just the way that all looked, it was very, very, very like Terminator robot apocalypse type stuff.
Yeah.
And then I was also getting like Harry Potter, Voldemort, Harry when they do their thing.
They're connected.
Yeah, which I can't remember what they omnix. I can't remember what the word is in the books, but just it was so it and we've talked about how the text obviously predates all of that type of stuff, so I don't really know which direction it's flowing here. It just I could feel it all kind of like creeping in. And yeah, as you already said, this was all kind of confusing, and I didn't really like kind of understand what was going on between the three of them. And this whole like, we got to suffocate ourselves to jump to the future. Here's your gas mask.
Yeah, that was bizarre.
That's the Mule.
Again, another situation where I'm like, you're just like inviting death. There's like a suicide mission, just like when they got the ship out from the water.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we get the Ignis out of this. We get the Mule and the Ignis.
Well, and Gale sees that Salvor is dead in that vision of the future 150 years from now, but she still looks like she does in the present timeline. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's safe to say, which also gets addressed at some point in this 2-episode stretch, that there will be some more time jumping, time traveling shit that goes down here at some point.
Yeah.
We meet 2 other new characters, Brother Constant, who is in fact not a man, and Polly Verisov, who's the drunk high cleric of the Church of the Galactic Spirit. And this is the religion that has been built at the foundation, at the first foundation, that basically Harry Seldon is like their god.
Yes.
Their prophet.
Right.
So they're doing magic out there in the outer reach, just traveling to different planets and putting on magic shows, which is the magician reference that we got out of Brother Day at some point.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get people to join the foundation, and they're using like one of their spaceships to do like floating crazy.
Yeah. This did not work for me.
No, I won't lie to you. Episode 2 is also my least favorite episode of probably the series so far, and I remember my first watch through, which was probably about a month ago now or something like that, just being like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck is this goofiness? Like, what are we doing here? What is this?
It was very goofy. It just, again, it like felt like it just didn't track with season 1, which felt almost like self-serious in a way.
No, they definitely took a turn here.
And now we're calling people magicians, and there's all this goofy, like sleight of hand, and we're like tossing guys in a fountain, and then we're doing fireworks, and we're flying. It was It was a whole lot. And also, was that the guy who has his hand chopped off in Game of Thrones? Because I'm pretty sure it was.
Which guy?
He's like a famous British character actor. He was like kind of the ringleader of the baddies on
whatever planet that was.
Whatever planet that was. Siwini or something like that. Something.
Unsure. Would have to go check.
Okay. All right.
But
it definitely looked like him.
All in all, this is a tough scene to watch. I won't lie to you.
Yeah.
I'll just say this: Constant and Polly become good characters.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Their storyline and everything that we got. It's just kind of a rough start when you meet them in
he shoots out
episode
coins
2.
from his wrist, just like Job.
1,000 pennies.
1,000 pennies.
But yeah, so Constant and Polly, while they're off recruiting, doing missionary work.
Missionary work, yeah.
They get called back to Terminus, where things have changed. Like we said last week, the community has flourished. They've built out like a full-blown little, like it's become Empire-esque in some ways, as Polly ends up pointing out. Yeah, but like, you know how the inside of that meeting room or whatever, it does feel like Star Wars, which is essentially the same as it feeling like Empire.
Right.
So yeah, it turns out there's like a bit of corruption going on here in some way, shape, or form. There's like a board of politicians that are running Foundation.
Yeah, and there's like, they're for profit. They're corporatized now. It's all.
They've got 401ks.
Yes. They just, the stink of capitalism has penetrated the Foundation.
It has set in. Yes,
it's permeated.
Yeah, because they're using these new ally planets to create, like, I believe, weaponry of some kind, like factory.
Right.
There's some reference to that. Again, this all happens very fast in these conversations where you're just like, if you don't have subtitles on and you're not taking notes, it's you may not have picked up some of this shit.
Yes, yeah.
And you shouldn't feel bad about that.
Also, okay, so our missionaries get back to Terminus, and brother, what is her name? Brother what now?
Brother Constant.
Brother Constant. There's a guy right away that she kind of like hugs. And I'm like, oh yeah, family member, dad. And then there's a guy that's a part of the he's on the exec team of the Foundation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, this is her lover. And then she calls that guy dad. So I guess that's dad. And I don't know who the first guy was now.
Yeah, her dad is definitely in there though. One of those dudes is her dad.
Yeah, well, the dad is looks like he's a 40-year-old British guy, and Brother Constant looks like she's a 30-year-old British woman, but from a different ethnic background.
Right.
So I got no idea what's going on there either.
Right. No, I'm with you.
Because their age difference looks like it's about 10 years. And I know that there's all the who knows because everybody can freeze themselves and travel through time and stuff
like Polly Verisov is the little kid saw Selden come out in season 1.
Right. So he
must have frozen himself at some point or whatever, got Austin Powers because
he's done some traveling that has extended his life quite a bit. Which I will also just say, I don't know if this is from the book or if it's kind of a wrinkle that the TV show has added to aid in the scale of the timeline, but that also seems like something that's pretty commonplace. Like people. It's not weird when Salvor in episode 3 is talking about like, okay, well, I've got 150 years, like let's worry about that when we worry about it. Like nobody's like, oh my God, I'm going to live till I'm going to live for 200 years. Like that's crazy. So I think that's kind of normal that people's lives are extended, upward of a century.
Well, and
because of all the space travel.
Yeah. There's a lot of, it's just the timelines are not the same as they are for us here.
And so
modern
the
day.
age things could easily have been compressed. I was just like, wait, that's her dad? That was another thing that threw me in this episode.
Yeah, but Foundation number 1 is building some kind of like militaristic. It's like an army. There's like an army that they're building instead of making it into like a congregation or a religious sect. It's things have taken a turn over there. Polly, who is a purist follower of Harry Selden, is really unhappy about it. And he thinks that when the vault opens back up and Selden comes out, he's going to be extremely pissed off about what they have done with this place. And he wants to go and be a part of like the welcome committee, but they're like, nah, Polly, you're only here because you're popular with the people.
Right.
And they're going to let the new warden be the one who goes and meets the prophet alone, who is the dude from Mindhunter.
Yes, yeah.
Who I thought when we met him at the end of episode 1, I was like, surely this dude has a long run on the show. Respected character actor.
Yeah.
Really like this guy. People are going to recognize his face. He's going to be around. And no, he tries to become like a prophet himself. He gets up there, he gives his big speech. He's like, I will now travel into the unknown and bring back the word of God. And then God picks him up and vaporizes his ass.
Yeah.
After he forces him to yell out, get Hober marshmallow over and over.
Yeah. And added effect, he just etches Hober's name in the vault in like fiery letters. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't need that. Didn't love that.
Yeah, I didn't love that.
Why?
Yeah.
Now it's an Etch-a-Sketch, this fucking thing. He can just put messages up. It's like a goddamn message board. I didn't like that. We already got the Hober marshmallow message from him yelling it. We didn't need it. Also, in case you didn't hear him, I'm going to write it just right here in the side of the fucking vault.
Yeah.
So yeah, the vault goes dark. Clearly, this is the only message that Harry Seldon or the vault or both, it might be the same thing, gets out to the world. They just wanted to say, like, we need this Hober marshmallow fella who's actually named Hober Malloy, just for...
Malloy?
Malloy, yeah.
Draco Malfoy?
No, just Hober Mallow. Mallow. Mallow.
Hober Mallow.
Hober Mallow.
Malloy?
Mallow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I was okay. Yeah.
But we don't know who the hell that is. We've never heard that name before. It is a very kind of surprising ending to episode 2, which, as Barrett said earlier, wasn't a personal favorite. And I was kind of glad to be done with it when it was done.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of wonky, all over the place, pretty confusing. And I didn't feel like I grasped some of the important points that they were trying to make with regard to how we end up in a situation with a guy named the Mule.
Right.
It was just a lot to take in. But all that said, I think if you can just remember some of the basic things that we mentioned here in the first half of the podcast today, you'll be okay moving forward.
It was also the first time, and I probably set myself up for this disappointment because I was beating this drum so loudly. But like, it was the first episode of the series where I was like, "Ooh, that doesn't look good." In a few different spots.
Where you noticed the budget a little more?
Noticed the budget a little bit more, noticed some CGI, noticed some sets that didn't look as quite as expensive. And we got back to better ones in episode 3. So it was kind of like that episode almost in its entirety, it was just like you kind of got the feeling that through kind of storyboarding the season and then working with budget, it just kind of like it just hit a skid a little bit.
They were like, this one's going to suck, but we got to do it. We got to push through this bad boy.
Yes, because we got to light the warden on fire. We got to introduce everybody to Hober Marshmallow and Brother Constant and remind you that Polly, the little kid, he's still here. Only guy left that's even seen Harry Seldon in the flesh.
And he drinks a lot. He's a drunkard.
He's kind of a drunk.
They have solved hangovers, though.
Yeah.
With this needle that she injects him with that makes him belch or retch up all of his booze.
Yeah.
And then he's good as new in like 20 minutes.
And then also Queen Sereth, and then also
the general?
Bel Ross, yeah.
Yeah, Bel Rios. Yeah, a lot going on, man.
A
lot going on. But no, Barrett and I have given this show a lot of credit for operating with such a small budget and doing so much with it compared to what you would expect the budget to be. I think we saw season 1 was like $45 million or something along those lines. So yeah, this was definitely one of the first episodes where you kind of feel the constraints of what went on there budget-wise, and we'll move on to episode 3 and greener pastures. This holiday season, you might be looking for nutritious, convenient meals to keep you energized on jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service, can help you fuel up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle while tackling all of your holiday to-dos. Today's episode is brought to you by Factor. Too busy with holiday plans to cook, but want to make sure you're eating well? With Factor, skip the extra trip to the grocery store and the chopping, prepping, and cleaning up too, while still getting the flavor and nutritional quality you need. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are ready in just 2 minutes, so all you have to do is heat and enjoy. Looking for special occasion meals during the holidays? Level up with Gourmet Plus options prepared to perfection by chefs and ready to eat in record time. Enjoy premium ingredients like broccolini, leeks, truffle butter, and asparagus. With Factor, you can rest assured you're also making a sustainable choice. They offset 100% of their delivery emissions, source 100% renewable electricity for their production sites and offices, and feature sustainably sourced seafood in their meals. This holiday season, get Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered to your door, ready in just 2 minutes. No prep, no mess. It's time to sign up for Factor with our special offer just for members of the Clam Fam. Head to factormeals.com/OCC50 and use code OCC50 to get 50% off. That's code OCC50 at factormeals.com/OCC50 to get 50% off. All right, so jumping to season 2, episode 3, excuse me.
Yep.
We meet the man we have been referring to as Hober Marshmallow.
Yeah.
Hober Mallow. He's on the planet Corel, where he is...
It's a penal colony.
He's pulling a con on the king. And he's going to sell him this portable...
Oh, no. I'm thinking of Belross. Sorry.
Yeah,
we're
different.
We're on Marshmallow.
Not on the penal colony yet.
That's right.
But he's going to sell him this mini teleporter. It's shape of a bracelet, which he uses to like swap places with the guy. It's actually kind of a tight thing he's got for sale here.
Yeah.
But he tricks the king and steals a precious gem, and you're like, oh, look at this guy. Now this is the most Star Warsy shit we've had on the show yet. Hober Mallow is to me. He's like fucking Harrison Ford's character.
Yeah, Han Solo?
He's Han Solo,
right.
Yeah. He gets caught. He gets sentenced to death by the...
Titan's prick!
Thank you, Barrett. and narrowly avoids execution by the Titan's prick when he again swaps places with the king, because it turns out the teleporter was not the bracelet. It was actually this little node that he hid in his mouth.
Classic con man.
Yeah,
Classic con man. Yeah.
So I would also note when the king accidentally ends up in the Titan's prick chair thing, whatever, he's strapped to this board about to get pierced by the Titan's prick. The lady at the last minute realizes like, oh my God, that's not Hober Marshmallow.
Yeah.
Stop the Titan's prick. And they like grab a rope, and that's all it takes to keep it from
dropping.
Yeah, which is this planet's version of a guillotine, basically.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was just surprised. I thought that dude was the king was going to get pierced by the Titan's prick.
Well, you forgot about the rope. You forgot about the rope.
I forgot about the emergency escape rope
fail-safe.
Yeah, exactly. So it turns out it's fairly easy to stop this thing.
It's a whole thing where they're cranking, and there's the hourglass and like everything, but as a safety measure, they rope.
Just right here. We
rope,
just grab it, and then whoever's... Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So I liked how they had a nice framing where that was like, almost gratuitous, but I thought it really worked, where anytime they would show you the prisoner strapped in, just right at the top of the screen was like this tiny little dangle of the tip of the prick.
Yeah.
And it was spooky. It was... it looked
sharp.
It looked sharp. Yeah.
It's also covered in blood because we watched the first guy get got before they bring Hober Mallow
When
out.
the first guy got, I was like, was that a test? Was that a stuffed animal? Like it did not.
He was prisoner number 1.
No, it was just prisoner number 1, and I didn't realize that the helmet was throwing me. I didn't, the clown helmet.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah.
But
interesting.
they got a guy. They did a guy.
Yeah, they're having fun out here on Corel though with these executions. It's very old school.
Yeah.
The Titan's prick.
But it was all. You are right. All of this from the way when walking up to the execution, that was like that whole scene looked like. I'm not a big enough Star Wars fan to remember, but it's that whole the way that all looked reminded me of a very specific scene in Star Wars, and then everybody having fun around the execution was like very Jabba the Hutt throwing them into the Sarlacc's pit or whatever they called that thing.
Yeah, a lot of it felt like more New Age Star Wars though, like the newer trilogy, and and then really like even some Andor vibes, because you're meeting like look, these characters aren't altogether bad. It's just they definitely don't match the vibes of season 1.
Yeah.
Like you're getting much more cartoonish and humorous.
Yes.
Humorish, and that's not something we really had in season 1.
No, it's not. No,
and so it does rub you a little bit rough, like the first few minutes here, because you're just like, what the fuck? Is just suddenly just like jokes, and this Hober Mallow guy's up there. He's all confident, doesn't seem to care at all that he's about to die, and it turns out because he knows he's not about to die because he's got the node. I don't know. It was a lot to take in though. So, anyway, he avoids execution. He goes. in the king's little fucking land yacht and gets into the brother whatever
Polly and
constant
brother content
brother Constant and Polly's ship, and they end up like making it on board and joining him or whatever. So fun little adventure, but altogether just again it's a shift in vibes away from season 1 that takes a little bit of getting used to here at the beginning of season 2.
Yeah.
If you're struggling so far, I don't think you're alone in that. And again, I would argue that all of this vibe shifting does pay off in a big way longer term. So Gale, Salvor, and Harry are supposed to head to the future home of the Second Foundation, but Harry is allowed to drive. He's I'm going to drive.
He is, as files are, he's in the computer.
He's in there.
He's in there, yeah.
He is the ship, essentially. Right. So he takes them to some desert planet instead, and they're like, oh, damn.
It's not Ignis.
We shouldn't have let you do this.
Ignis.
But he goes and he finds Kade in a mountain.
He's like, we're meeting an old friend. Actually, no, it was more like, we're meeting an old friend, because he's not American, he's British.
Right. Yeah.
And Gale has to take him in the Prime Radiant, but as long as the Prime Radiant is nearby, he can just like walk like a human in his faux bodily form.
Yeah.
And then
he's a projection of some kind. He's a projection,
yeah.
Fucking hologram like Tupac at Coachella.
Yeah, but a very realistic one. And yeah, I thought there was maybe supposed to be a bit of a parallel here with the walk of the spiral.
Oh yeah.
It just kind of like,
because it's a long walk.
It's a long walk. It's deserty, and they're going. It seems like they're kind of making their way up instead of down.
Yeah.
It just reminded me of that, and I don't know if that'll pay off at all. It just was something that kind of sparked for me, and then eventually we get to a kind of some type of otherworldly or what's the word I'm looking for? Like supernatural entity, right? Who is in physical form, even though she should have been dead long ago.
Right.
And yeah, so I don't know. I'm just kind of putting a pin in that, and yeah, we'll see where it goes. But yes, continue, because Gale has to bail. Gale bail.
Yeah, they're like, what would Harry do if he was in our ship? Well, he would leave us. So let's get the fuck out of here. But they first fall down into some. It's like the miners that were there before. This felt like a little Dune. It was a
little Dune-y. It was a little classic film, Wild Wild West.
Oh yeah,
with the stompy
the spider thing,
steampunk spiders. Yeah, and these are the things that Harry, I think, was describing earlier. It's like they were mining the planet. They were the ones getting all of the unobtainium out of it.
Right.
And then,
right, of course.
And then when they had finished all the unobtainium, they were like, we got nothing left to sustain ourselves. We got to eat the humans.
Oh.
And they killed all the humans.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not the way you want to go.
No.
So those things wake up.
Yeah.
And
at least that's how I again, no subbies. That's how I interpreted it.
Well, and then they're like, we smell man flesh,
right? Yeah.
And it turns out and they're gonna go get it. They're like, let's fucking go eat. It's been a long time. We've been down here hibernating.
Right.
This one human body will sustain the two giant spider miners for 15 seconds. So they go,
the spiners.
And it turns out the human they have detected is Harry Seldon on this hand.
Flesh and blood.
So Kade and him had a little meeting, and she used math power to turn him back into a human and deposit him on this hand, knowing that Salvor and Gale would use one more time, just for shits and gigs, their human search device to see, like, wait, there's a living, breathing entity there.
Right.
And go land on the hand or close to it, and then pick him up and bail.
Yeah.
So that's where the Harry Seldon and Salvor and Gale journey ends this episode.
Which, I gotta say, seems like a downgrade from having Harry Seldon be able to be like in your ship doing stuff. I mean, maybe it's like less of a risk because he can't control where you go next and all of that, through being the computer. But now you got to deal with his ass.
Well, this is one of the places that I would hope some of our viewers and supporters on Patreon will be able to help us out, because again, second watch for me. Mm-hmm. I watched this scene unfold and I'm like, what? How is Kade in this mountain? Mm-hmm. Why? How does she do whatever she does with Harry that spits him out on this hand?
Yeah.
Why? What is going on there? And maybe it's a thing that gets answered later in the season, but it's something that I just sitting here trying to recollect have no fucking answers for. So,
right. Yeah.
That was, I get that it's like fun and mysterious and like, ooh, spiritual craziness, but like, I would like to have some idea of like, what am I supposed to take from this? What am I supposed to be taking from this?
Well, and I mean, this is actually something that I just thought about. I didn't even think about this while watching the episode, but remember that Harry is telling Gale and Salvor that like, it wasn't even him, is the Prime Radiant that wanted to come to Ignis.
Oh, right.
And Gale's like, it can, I can't remember the exact word she uses, but she says it can, she basically says like, it can adjust, it can, it can reevaluate, but it's not, like omniscient.
Right.
I think she basically says it's more of a guide. It's not like, it shouldn't be making decisions.
It's not driving.
It shouldn't be driving.
It's the map.
It's the, right. So was this a thing? Was this actually more of a Harry Seldon thing where he wanted to go get a body, basically? Like he wanted to become, to be in human form, and this is all like a big plot on by him, not a directive from the Prime Radiant.
Human form. Bat! But yeah, no, I mean, it was, again, it's kind of a convoluted...
It wants to be born now.
We're just dragging everything into this. But yeah, so that, I mean, it does appear at the end of the episode on that big hand that he is fit, like she's able to physically touch him, strap him to her or vice versa, and then get him out of there. So as the hungry spiders eat this mountain. Elsewhere,
the spiners, they're spiners.
We do go to the what did you call it earlier? What the prison where the prisoners are?
It's a penal colony.
The penal colony, yes, where Demerzel introduces us to Bel Rios, and Rios is played by Ben Daniels, and he's serving a sentence.
Where do we know this guy from?
I don't know, man. Okay. I was going to ask you, because he does... Well, at first, you're like, Jesus Christ, this guy... They don't let you bathe out there in the penal colony, huh? Long hair, scraggly beard. It's an incredible transformation the first time you see him clean shaven.
My favorite part of the episode is them having his husband, like they do a close up, cutting what is he's like, it was quite a transformation, but it's also very quick. And, there's like, it's all very dramatic.
And emotional,
then they cut to a close up, and the guy like cuts a piece of hair off what is very clearly a wig.
Yeah.
And then it's like, camera pans around and he's just completely transformed.
A new man, man.
That cut from one clip of the wig to completely new man was just really funny to me.
Yeah. So before we get to the transformation, he's out there at this penal colony because he disobeyed a direct order from Brother Day, which actually worked.
Right.
Him disobeying and going with a different strategy resulted in them winning the battle and like him saving a bunch of his men's lives or something. Mm-hmm. But Brother Day took it as a slight and a disrespect. And as an example, he sent him out to this penal colony because he can't just have generals out there not listening to what he says. He is Empire Bearer.
Right.
So Rios this is another new character, and he is, I mean, definitely like, first we find out he's gay, right? So there's an interesting angle for him that we hadn't already accomplished with any other characters, and he like negotiates for the boys on the penal colony. He's like, you can have me, or at least you can talk to me about having me, but first everybody else here goes free. And she's like, get fucked. Why would we do that? They can have some. She's like, we'll give you some better medical care and like new clothes, and you guys can
better food, more medical care, and longer breaks.
Yeah. And they're like, we'll take it.
I feel like you could meme that with like the SAG union strike, the ongoing strike.
And then he's basically like, in the end, no, I'm not going to come back and work for your fucking idiot, empire.
Right.
And she's like, oh, that's a shame because now I have to kill you. And he's like, oh, okay, I guess
Well, no, he's like, no,
he's
like,
right.
I'm not afraid of death.
Says, I don't care, kill me.
Do it, B. And then she's like, oh, well, that's too bad. Too bad.
Yeah.
Because your husband's still alive.
You got your hubby.
Yeah.
We lied when we told you that we killed him.
Yeah.
That was actually just a method of torture. Making you suffer even more.
Yeah.
And so he ends up saying, all right, riding on back with old Demerzel.
Mm-hmm.
What else? I don't know.
To continue with Belle's story, we'll just continue along that thread. Meets with Brother Day.
Oh yeah.
Has a salty back and forth. More sass being thrown Empire's way, which he just I can't tell if he's loving every second of it or if he's just ready to snap.
It seemed like he really enjoyed this with Del Rios.
I agree. I would have to agree.
This is good old fashioned arguing right here. This gets me going.
And so he basically has decided that he's going to execute Belle for this display, for this disobedience, essentially, and kill his husband and just end this nonsense. And then Belle asks for a private moment to talk privately.
Yes,
just the two of them,
man to man,
which is really where Brother Day starts eating it up. And then there's the strike me scene. Mm-hmm. Strike me. And then he kind of explains, and he's like, "No, you're my emperor. I shall never." And then he's like,
"I took an oath."
He's like, "Strike me or I'll kill your husband." And then there's the whole thing where he just like lays it out for him. He's like,
"It's a great line."
He's like, "Now you have a choice. You have to make a decision. Which is the right one? Like, do I want you to strike me so that I know that you will listen to any command I give, or do I want you to not strike me and show that you will be loyal to your empire
and protect me no matter what?"
Protect me no matter what. He chooses the latter there. And Cleon later tells Demerzel that he didn't really know which one was the right answer.
Yeah.
He just wanted a man that could make a decision and stick to it.
Well, he does that.
And he does that. So he's reunited with his husband. It's a touching scene. That was one of the better, it's nice acting from both gentlemen there. Cut to the transformation, obviously. And then Bell gets his fleet back. He gets the ship
where he is very well respected. And one of the things that is inferred along the way here in the decision to reinstate Bell is that basically, like, he was such a good leader in general that whole fleet is loyal to him anyway. And that kind of makes him dangerous for that reason too, mm-hmm. right? So like they're all very excited that he's back. Again, 6 years he's been gone. Thought his husband was dead. There is a ton of emotion inserted into that character. And really, from the get-go here, you're asking yourself, like, okay, well, this guy seems like a bit of a wild card, right? From all the things we've heard, didn't care that he was going to die, finds out his husband is back, has to make this decision about striking the general or not. Yeah, he took an oath.
And Glaber is whispering in his ear the whole time, like, like, we could just take the ship and go and flee, basically.
Yeah. His husband?
Yeah. But he's like, nah, that would put everybody at risk. I have too much duty. I don't have the luxury of evening the score with Empire. And so it seems like he's going to be a good soldier, at least for the time being.
But a complicated character when he's introduced here, yeah.
And
they do a lot.
They jump to the outer reach there.
Pew! Good old-fashioned space jump.
A jump ship. It's a jump ship.
And that's it.
It's a jump ship.
That's really it.
Did we miss anything?
I don't think so, man. I think that's it.
There's more going on Terminus. They're trying to decide. There's the aftermath of the warden getting flamed, and there's all sorts of back and forth. They got to go. That's where the decision to go get Hober Mallow, I think, is actually made. Is when they're talking about kind of like what to do there.
Yeah. Was that a mistake?
Paulie talks about how like the first, Salvor was the solve to the first crisis. Hober seems like he's the solve to the second crisis. They have to go get him. That's why they end up there on the Star Warsy planet to nab him. So they're bringing his ass back to Terminus.
There was also the mule when we go in episode 2.
Yeah,
and the mule is talking to Gale.
Uh-huh.
He references Hober Mallow.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, you're from the Empiric Age before Hober Mallow pierced Empire's side. So like
Okay.
it just builds up even further. Like, oh, what's the deal with this Hober Mallow guy going to be?
So
and then we meet him and he's fucking Han Solo humoring us.
Yeah, I was watching episode 3 with the Hober Mallow stuff, and I was like, wait, didn't we hear that name?
Yeah.
From the Gale, Harry, Salvor team.
And that was
at
when
some
we heard
point.
it,
That's
yeah.
right. The mule mentions the marshmallow himself.
Yeah.
The mule and the marshmallow. That should be episode 4's name. The mule and the marshmallow.
I think that is the next
Oh,
episode.
good, good.
Very infamous character though, this Hober Mallow fellow. So
But yeah, we covered Harry, Gale, Salvor out there on Ignis.
Harry got a body.
Bell and his journey.
He's back.
From rags
He's
rags to riches.
He's got his fleet. His husband appears to be like his first mate.
Yeah. And then in Hober Mallow, I think those were the 3 big storylines.
Hober Mallow escapes this planet where he was conning people. Brother Day and Dimmerzell and the Empire back on Terminus are still waiting to see, or Trantor.
Yeah.
It's still waiting to see what Bel Rios will find about the Outer Reach, and you have to imagine that's probably where we go next episode. So yeah, that's it for episodes 2 and 3.
Well, if we missed anything, you know where to reach us. Patreon.com. Get your hotline calls in.
Yes, please.
I'm sure that this is what's great about covering 2 episodes is that I'm sure we missed things. So
I'm sure we did. And I had enough questions that I levied here. Yeah. Somebody needs to answer them. Patreon, do your thing. Patreon.com/oysters, clams, cockles, where Barrett and I will be later this week taking voicemails from our listeners and responding to them. Again, Patreon people, you can call about Foundation, obviously. Priority number 1.
Yeah.
But anything else you're watching or movies or whatever, we're happy to respond to that as well. So
I will say, we're in November here. I'm looking at my big list of TV that I've watched this year. Pretty much with certainty, I can say this is the weakest year of television that we've had.
It's been a rough one, Barrett.
Definitely since the pandemic started, but probably more like since like 2017 or 2018. I would gather.
We got hosed.
And
it's been tough.
I don't really know what my top 10 is going to look like because I don't know if there are 10 shows that I loved. And I'll just say, because we talked about this on Patreon, not the Ad Bay show last week, but I wrapped up the 4-part Beckham documentary last night on Netflix. And it's probably my favorite thing that I've watched this year. And I'm just I'm a Beckham guy now. You know, I'm a big Bex guy.
Oh, speaking of documentaries, go check out the Milli Vanilli documentary that's available on Paramount Plus. I'm buddies with the guy who put this thing together, and I just spurned their director by accidentally double booking him. So I'm trying to make it up to him. Go watch Milli Vanilli.
Apologize. You should just get him like some Taco Deli or something.
I'll see what I can do. But it's supposed to be awesome.
Get him some queso and see if he wants to let it dribble down his chin.
Milli Vanilli documentary on Paramount Plus. We'd also appreciate it if you'd support our sponsors. Today we had Factor. That's code OCC50 at factormeals.com/OCC50 to get 50% off. Links and codes for today's sponsor in the description of this episode. If you're an F1 fan, check out Bolin Media's premier F1 programming, Formula Bone, at youtube.com/@FormulaBone and @FormulaBone on social media. For more from me, check out the Ross Bolin podcasts, wherever podcasts are played. Follow Barrett on Twitter and Instagram, @BarrettDudley. Follow me at WRBolin. Go to bolinmedia.com/shop to grab yourself some merch for this holiday season. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And until next time, please respect and enjoy the podcast.